run through all of the celebrities as well. You can see that Hillary Clinton is not only is related to Angelina Jolie. Alright, Hillary Clinton is related to Angelina Jolie, who is now a UN Special Peace Ambassador, and Brad Pitt is supposedly related to Barack Obama. Britney Spears is related to John McCain, and Barack Obama is related to all of them through George Bush and Dick Cheney and Hillary Clinton.
Well, you can see that they've been using, you know, Hollywood and whatnot for a while to directly now take people straight out of Hollywood and stick them into politics. Like, people didn't realize that it was theater after they elected Ronald Reagan. I mean, come on.
Right.
But if that wasn't enough, they go on and they put Sonny Bono in power. And I've got Sonny Bono selling his soul to the system, demonizing marijuana in released National Archives and Records Administration files, which I'm happy to give you a copy of, by the way.
And who's running now but Will Smith? I'm just waiting for the Smith-Schwarzenegger
and the governor
ticket. Exactly, the Smith-Schwarzenegger ticket. That would be intense. Our whole show is a parody of existence right now, a parody of reality. It's so surreal, it's hard to even believe. I point out reality to people all day and night, and they think I'm talking crazy talk. It's simply reality.
Well, Tom Lear stopped performing parody after Ronald Reagan was elected because he said that was the point at which parody and reality merged.
There you have it. Now, what did Ronald Reagan say to the UN and many classrooms around the U.S.? But wouldn't it be great if an alien race came down and attacked planet Earth and we could all unify under one banner to save our world? And let's have some Star Wars.
I couldn't help at one point in my discussions privately with General Secretary Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species from another planet outside in the universe. We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together.
Well, this was the plan and the operation that was going down. Now, we can follow quite a system of the plan that's unfolding when you see that Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger had come together to establish the UN regions of America. And so we have America broken down into 10 regions governed by the UN. But it took much time and preparation to get this going, and it wasn't until Henry Kissinger got to Canberra and established the Pyramid Palace, the Parliamentary House, and now Barack Obama has announced that there will be 10 regional governors to America. So as the story begins to come into play and come under the picture, we find out that they have this plan that Wernher von Braun gave us. And Wernher von Braun said, well, first there'll be the Red Scare, and this will help the weaponization of space. And this is what the purpose of the Red Scare was, is to build up the systems to weaponize space. This is what Ronald Reagan was discussing in his Star Wars, or his Space Defense Initiative. Then, Wernher von Braun said that we would use asteroids as the follow-up to terrorism. And after terrorism, asteroids came aliens. And so that's where we're actually at this moment, because as we can see, Barack Obama was brought into office to foment this space war. Now, Barack Obama, his name meaning lightning from heaven, his phrase, yes we can, clearly saying, thank you Satan, and he's riding around in the beast. Meanwhile, Lady Gaga is performing death and blood rituals on American Idol, and we are seeing the Satanization of America, so that the rest of the world, when they look over to America, go, well, this is what happens when you give people freedom. They turn into evil Satanists. And that way, they are given the free license to attack America. And they are fomenting this through many ways. Now, first of all, the 9/11 Truth Movement is a great way to bring about the downfall of America. If we would have the American Nuremberg trials. The 9/11 Truth Movement is not just led by Alex Jones or We Are Change, it's also heralded by Hugo Chavez and Ahmadinejad. So realize that this has been a global move to have an open attack on America, and so now we have placed a president into office that no one knows who he is. Now, as I had outlined before, we had the idea of President Bill Clinton being taken down, the man of the people. And then that was taking down the person. The next part was to force in the W, the excrement, the 66. And that was done intentionally to make people angry and lose faith in the system. So first the man, the system. So next the Constitution. And so what you do is you bring in a president that's ineligible. So lo and behold, here comes Barack Obama. And we find out that his name isn't actually Barack Obama, it's Barry Soetoro. We find out that he's actually been a student in Indonesia's school when it was improper or impossible for an American citizen to be a student in an Indonesian school. So therefore, he is a non-natural born citizen. Now, he's tried to say that he was born in Hawaii, and they have received so many requests to see Barack Obama's true birth certificate, live birth certificate, that they just passed another law in Hawaii that you can no longer ask for Barack Obama's birth certificate. Okay? This man then is announced as a Kenyan. And they say that if you go to Kenya, you will actually see on the sign into Kenya that it says home place, birthplace of Barack Obama. Michelle Obama actually mentioned the fact that he was Kenyan born while speaking to the Gay and Lesbian Bi Society. When we start to get the picture all together, we realize that this man is actually just a creation. He's probably not even real. And we're going to understand where he comes from. So he was brought in to institute the space war and also the satanification of America, and so therefore all of his names and appellations go to Satan, and then we're also raised in the satanic belief system. And on top of this, we are now battling the asteroid Apophis, who was the first incarnation of Satan, because this was Akhenaten's serpent deity of destruction. So when we flash to our ancient past, we find that monotheism actually bubbled out of Egypt by a man named Akhenaten, who most believe, as they study him today, to be an alien. Because Akhenaten was shown to have massive hips, somewhat of a hermaphroditic body, and a massive cone head, along with all of his children.
And that's not much different than the South Americans who had the habit of binding the skulls of infants so that they would grow elongated in order to honor the gods who appeared with these elongated heads.
And they are finding so many of these skulls in Peru and around there that people are putting up just museums of them. Of these, yes.
And some of them are quite clearly human, but I'm telling you, one or two of these have been found that are just wrong to be human. The proportions are wrong, and they're way too big even for a bound head skull.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And we have to start thinking that way. That's where we're at today, is starting to think really like about extraterrestrials and the ideas that are being promoted.
Okay, but back to Akhenaten's head.
Yes, well, Akhenaten, he is a true mystery, as even Sigmund Freud believed Akhenaten to be Moses. Akhenaten came in and upset Egypt by starting monotheism, saying, "You will no longer worship this multitude of gods. You will now worship the sun, known as the Aten." But this Aten also had all of the gods incorporated inside of him. And each night, Ra would have to battle Apophis. It was originally known as Apep, but in Greek became Apophis. And I use that term because now Barack Obama is fighting Apophis. But this is the first creation of the serpent deity of destruction and the idea of monotheism. So then what happens is Akhenaten is completely wiped from history. They erased his name, they buried everything, and this is what allowed Howard Carter to find King Tut's tomb completely intact. Now, King Tut is Akhenaten's son. Some believe that he was killed in order to bring about the transformation back to polytheism. Okay. Akhenaten's tomb had not been believed to be found. There was a mystery, the KV-55 mystery, that said that they had found Akhenaten and Queen T that found their graves. But they actually cloaked this under national security and would not allow any tests to be done on these mummies, and it never was determined whether KV-55 was Akhenaten or not. Okay, so yes, strangely enough, they put Akhenaten, or the mystery mummies, which they called the Elder Lady and the Younger Lady, and along with Akhenaten, who, when found, was determined to be female and then determined to be male by two separate doctors testing the mummy right as it was found. They found that the cartouches of Akhenaten had been cleared away, but they found Queen T's toilet there, so they assumed that they had found Queen T, which is Akhenaten's mother. She was an original Nubian princess that came in, and strangely looks amazingly like Michelle Obama. Well, I began to uncover the coming space war. I had gone through the satanic ramifications of Barack Obama, but to me this was just the ritual. What was the truth behind Barack Obama? Well, the truth is stranger than fiction, I'll tell you that. Because what we have found is that mummification saves a viable cell for cloning. We have known this forever and ever, since genetics, since cloning began. That mummification has some special property that we cannot repeat. Right now, Lenin is rotting in Red Square because they don't know how to properly mummify him. And they're trying to determine whether they should bury him now or keep him as a rotting icon, and it's a big debate. But in ancient Egypt, in 3500 BC, or the 18th century, or the 18th dynasty, they were capable of mummification that saved viable cells for cloning.
Well, they also had viable mummies found in South America as well.
Sure, yeah.
You know, so obviously this is a process that was known by more than one culture that are obviously, you know, quite widely separated by an ocean, which goes back to, you know, the potential for there being either, you know, some sort of person teaching both of these cultures or evidence for a global culture, you know, far earlier in our history than they're willing to admit. But back to viable cells.
No, you're absolutely correct. And yeah, that's a big part of my study too, is bringing those two cultures together. Well, they put out a show called The Day After People, and they showed us that if the world had died through a catastrophe and aliens wanted to bring us back, this is Discovery Channel, aliens wanted to bring us back, there was only two ways, and that's cryogenically frozen people and mummies. And they could bring both of these back from the dead. So they've been dropping all these codes and little symbolic gestures to us. And lo and behold, here comes Barack Obama looking exactly like Akhenaten, most especially on his Time magazine photograph. I've actually taken the face of Barack Obama, split it in half, and put his face with the Time magazine with Akhenaten's face, and you can hardly tell I made the difference. I began to question whether Barack Obama was a clone of Akhenaten. As I put this out, and the fact that Akhenaten, or Barakhenaten, was fighting Apophis, this incoming asteroid, I put this out to the attention of the public, and somebody says to me, well, did you notice how much Queen T, which is Akhenaten's mother, looks like Michelle Obama? And I said, oh my God. So I put her high school photo, split it in half, put them together. You can't even tell I put her face on it. Most people don't even realize that there's another half of a face there. Well, as we go along and get deeper into our Akhenaten studies, and you see the stela of Akhenaten worshipping the Aten, he has two daughters with him, and his wife, Nefertiti. Well, the two daughters, we're going, oh, this can't be. We pull up Merit Aten, which is one of the daughters, and the other daughter, I can't find her name. And sure enough, split the faces, they are Malaya and Sasha to a T. We have the entire Akhenaten family resurrected as the Obama first family.
And it's interesting because not that long ago I was just speaking with Jordan Maxwell, and Jordan Maxwell was talking about how America was designed not only as the new Rome, which is obvious with Capitol Hill, you know, being Capitoline Hill and that sort of thing, but that it's of course also designed to be the new Egypt, and that's why when you go along the Mississippi, which is the representative of the Nile, you